He said, I'm Caroline. I'm a reference archivist here at the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, and I'm going to talk to you today about researching Texas governors here at the State Library and Archives Commission, also known as TSLAC for short. In this presentation, I'm going to cover what governor's records are, the governor's records that are at TSLAC, access to these records, other collections with governor's records, other institutions with governor's records, and why we don't have all governor's records here at TSLAC. Like Peggy said, we'll have time for questions at the end. First, a little bit about us. We are located in downtown Austin, Texas by the Capitol building. You can find our public service hours on our website. We always like to share an overview of TSLAC's mission and the services and programs our agency provides to Texans. Today's webinar is part of our mission to provide Texans access to needed information. These are our 3 service areas. To learn more about our agency, please visit our website. So, what are governor's records? I'm going to give a brief overview of the office of the governor. The governor is the chief executive officer of the state elected by citizens every 4 years. As you can see, the duties and responsibilities of the governor concern the state's military, the legislature, and executing the laws of the state. Governor's records reflect many aspects of these roles. Governor's records vary between governors, but I'll talk about a few record types that are generally included and provide some examples. Generally, you'll find appointments and correspondence, like this letter from Governor Davis in 1870 concerning translating Texas laws into Spanish, and this postcard to Governor Stevenson in 1942 asking for information on the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. You'll also find subject files, requests, legislation, and proclamations, like this 1854 proclamation of Governor Pease calling for service on the Texas frontier. These records can tell us a lot about Texas during this governor's term. We can learn about the concerns of citizens and elected officials, like this petition to Governor Lubbock in 1861 asking to keep the town doctor from military service. We also learn about major events, like this telegram concerning the devastation to Galveston caused by the hurricane in 1900. The records can also tell us about the inner workings of the governor's office, like this office schedule for Governor Perry. If you want to learn more about which Texas governor served when, our website includes a complete listing of Texas governors and the terms they served. If you're curious, here I have pictured left to right governors Sam Houston, Elijah Pease, Miriam Ferguson, and Price Daniel. Now I'm going to talk about the records of governors that are here at TSLAC. TSLAC holds official records of governors J. Pinckney Henderson, the first governor of Texas, through Allen Shivers. Both are pictured here. These include records of Governor Price Daniel, also shown here, which are housed and accessed at the Sam Houston Regional Library and Research Center in Liberty. Governor Price Daniel records will be addressed in our next research webinar that's happening in March. We also hold records of Governor Mark White and Governors George W. Bush and Rick Perry. Gubernatorial records of George W. Bush are housed at the George W. Bush Presidential Library and Museum in Dallas. TSLAC staff coordinate with Bush Library staff to provide access for researchers. To see what records TSLAC has for specific governors, it's best to start with our Process State and Local Records page on our website. This webpage lists finding aids describing the state and local records we have, including records of Texas governors. Finding aids inventory and describe the type of records in the collection. More information on how to read finding aids can be found in our previous research webinar, Introduction to State Archives, Part 2. Now I'm going to cover options for access to these records. Some governor's records are available on the Texas Digital Archive, or TDA, shown here. Some of the early governor's records have been digitized and added to the TDA due to their fragility. More recent records are born digital, which I'll explain momentarily. You can navigate to the page shown here from the homepage of the TDA by clicking Texas State Government and then Texas Governors. Many of the records of Governor Rick Perry are available on the TDA. During Perry's time as governor, his office created many electronic records, or what archives call born digital records, that were transferred to TSLAC as electronic files. The TDA was funded in order to receive this massive number of electronic records, which is why we have so many records of Governor Perry available online. For more information on using the TDA, check out our past research webinar, Introduction to the Texas Digital Archive. You can also find governor's records through our lobby exhibits. Records of governors are used throughout our exhibits, but of particular interest today are two online exhibits focusing on Texas governors. Our current lobby and online exhibit, Texas Governors and Their Times, 1846 to 1946, complements our long-standing online exhibit, Portraits of Texas Governors. Both are great tools for learning more about our state's governors and seeing digitized archival materials. For records not available online, you have a few different options. You can make an appointment to view the records on site, request photocopies of records, or request digitization of certain materials. More information about appointments and reproductions is available on the Before You Visit page on our website. These options are also covered more in depth in our previous research webinars, Introduction to the State Archives, Part 1 and Part 2. Now I'm going to talk about other TSLAC collections with governor's records. Other collections in our library and archival holdings can provide information from different governors' terms in office. Records of other state agencies can have materials concerning the governor. For example, the Texas Secretary of State's office receives election returns and registers all official acts and proceedings of the governor, including proclamations. You can find election returns for the election of the governor, like this 1972 return from Travis County, in the Texas Secretary of State records, as well as proclamations signed by the governor, like the pardon proclamation on the previous slide. Records of the preceding and succeeding governor can be helpful to you also, as issues may carry over from one governor to the next. Broadsides can also include records of governors, like this broadside of a proclamation issued by Governor Sam Houston in 1861. Prints and photographs collections can also be a great source of materials. Many of the images used throughout this presentation are from our prints and photographs collections. Manuscript collections can also include governor's materials. This signed image of Ann Richards is from the Virginia Witten Papers, which is a manuscript collection in our archive. Beyond the archive, our library collections include publications created by state agencies. These can include reports to the governor's office, reports of the executive office submitted to the Texas legislature, staff registers, and more. TSLAC is not the only place to find governor's records. We hold some records for governors Clements, Allred, Sterling, both Jim and Miriam Ferguson, and governors Neff, Colquitt, and Hogg, but additional materials can be found at the listed institutions. TSLAC does not hold gubernatorial records for Governors Richards, Briscoe, Smith, or Connolly. If you're interested in these records, we encourage you to contact the listed institutions directly. Now you might be wondering why we don't have the records of those governors I just mentioned. Over time, legal issues have been settled concerning governors' records as state records rather than personal papers, and the responsibility of TSLAC to manage those records. In February of 1989, Attorney General Opinion JM 1013 affirmed gubernatorial records were public records as defined by law. In 1997, Section 201 was added to Texas Government Code Chapter 441, allowing a governor to designate a repository other than TSLAC if it is in the state and meets a few other criteria. And then in May of 2002, Attorney General Opinion JC 498 affirmed that even though the records were not in the physical custody of the state, they were still state records and still the ultimate responsibility of TSLAC. So in summary, today we've completed an overview of governor's records, the governor's records here at TSLAC, access to these records, other TSLAC collections with governor's records at other institutions, and why we do not have all governor's records. If you're curious about any of the specific images featured in this presentation, I've provided citations here. If you're interested in learning more, you can contact us by mail, phone, or email. Our standard response time is 7 to 10 business days, but please let us know if you have a deadline for your request that requires a response sooner, and we'll do our best to work within your timeline. When contacting us, it's helpful to provide as much information as possible, like collection titles or box numbers, so that we can better assist you. If you don't have collection titles or box numbers, let us know what you're researching and we can point you in the right direction. If you're interested in collections at our Sam Houston Regional Library and Research Center in Liberty, we recommend that you contact them directly. Thanks for coming. I hope this has been helpful. And now we will take any questions if they've come up.